it. But I want to understand, if you look at the recent IMF publication that was just put out, right, I realized that gold board was the only SOE that was mentioned more than 41 times. What's so special about your operations that you featured in the IMF documents that heavily?
Well, thank you very much, and very good afternoon to all your cherished viewers. Well, if you look at the title of that IMF document, it has to do with some selected issues. There's a special report that they published on some selected issues. One had to do with the Bank of Ghana's domestic good purchase program and Ghana's, what they describe as Ghana's over-reliance on gold, and some analysis they did in that area. Then they dealt with energy issues and all that. So once they were discussing gold, it stands to reason that gold board will feature. Okay. I have not counted the number of times gold board appear in that document.
It's more than 51 times.
But the most important thing is that there was nothing negative in that report or in that report about the gold board's operations. I think there's only one issue they raised, which we have indicated they got it wrong. Okay. And yesterday I had the opportunity to explain it in the conversation on X. So they can mention gold board's name 100 times. What matters to the Ghanaian is that the gold board was established to perform a very important task. And that task is being delivered efficiently and effectively by the gold board, helping nation building and helping the economic transformation agenda of the visionary President John Dramani Mahama. That is what matters. You see, gold board was established to, number one, oversee, monitor, and undertake the buying, selling, assay, exports of gold and other precious minerals in Ghana. For what purpose? Number one, to generate foreign exchange for Ghana and to support gold reserve accumulation for Ghana. Aside these two or these three objects, the gold board was given other functions, key among which is to ensure value addition to the gold and other precious minerals of Ghana, promote and support formalization, support sustainability initiatives in the area, in the nature of land reclamation and what have you, ensure traceability and the sustainability of the gold value chain. So what the question Ghanaians should be asking is whether or not gold board is delivering on this mandate and whether or not the performance of gold board is impacting the lives of the people of this country positively. And if you did that analysis, you will come to the conclusion that gold board is achieving remarkable successes, and these successes, you know, account for to a large extent, for the sustained economic stability we are all witnesses of, we are all enjoying in Ghana today. And that is what gives me joy. If you look at the issue of foreign exchange generation, for example, I mean, even though we only assumed and began implementing our mandates as gold board, as provided under the Gold Board Act 2025, in March 2026, we from 3rd of February 2025 continued the PMMC's, you know, function and their role as a buying agent for the Bank of Ghana. And we, together with the Bank of Ghana, helped we helped in generating over $10.8 billion in foreign exchange earnings, US dollars, you know, $10.8 billion US dollars in foreign exchange earnings from the purchase and export of artisanal small-scale mining gold alone. And that helped the Bank of Ghana to intermediate about $10.6 billion you know, for the market. This brought about FS market stability. It helped the currency appreciate by over 41%, something we've not seen in decades. Reserves, gross international reserves, increased from $8.9 billion to $13.8 billion by December 2025. That is a nominal increase of about $4.8 billion in 1 year.
Imports cover.
Almost 5.7 months, okay? In 1 year, a nominal increase of $4.8 billion, when in 8 years, the previous government only increased it by $4.1 billion. We increased it by $4.8 billion. And we achieved the IMF benchmark or target for gross international reserves for 2028 in just 1 year in 2025. So that is how revolutionary the contribution of Gold Board relative to foreign exchange generation has been as far as 2025 is concerned. We played our role in supporting gold reserve accumulation. So far, we bought in excess of close to 2 metric tons of gold on our own for the Bank of Ghana last year and this year put together to support gold reserve accumulation, and we are still at it. Aside that, in terms of value addition, as I indicated yesterday, this year we have begun the local refining of the gold we produce in Ghana.
So we'll come to all of those issues, very important issues that you're touching on. But here on the show, we do numbers.
Good.
Right?
Good.
That's all we do on the show. Right? So on the smart wall is 5.5 billion Ghana cedis. That's your total revenue for 2025. How do you arrive at this?
Good. So the Gold Board, like any SOE, has activities that it runs. You know, even before we became Gold Board, upon the passage of the Gold Board Act on 2nd April 2025, we're operating as PMMC.
Okay.
And PMMC was designated as a national assayer by government in 2016. So as the national assayer, it assayed all gold exported out of Ghana and therefore charge assay fees. And these are fees that are approved by Parliament under the Fees and Charges Act. The PMMC also issued licenses for the purchase of gold. Gold Board did issue licenses, you know, last year. We charged the large-scale mining companies assay fees and fees for site visits. Because as you may be aware, we sent field inspectors to the gold rooms of large-scale mining companies to observe the smelting of gold and all that. So we get revenue from these activities. That is what we call non-tax revenue. And so the total revenue that the Gold Board was able to generate on its own without any contribution from government, from our assay fees and our service fees that we charge Bank of Ghana and other fees that we charge the large-scale mining companies, licensing fees, was a total of 970 million.
So can we comfortably say this is your IGF?
No, this is not all IGF. Okay. So this is made up of this figure is made up of 3 things. The non-tax revenue, which is IGF, which is 970 million.
I think you can find it here.
Good. Right? 970 million, okay. Then we have what we call finance income, 35.3 million. Then we have government grant. Government grant is when Gold Board was established as a public corporation, government had to give us equity to operate. And government called it a one-time revolving seed capital. So that was government's equity.
You didn't give to us the equity of PMMC?
No, PMMC was a company limited by shares. Okay. Obviously, its assets, liabilities, rights, and obligations were transferred to the Gold Board under Section 78 of the Gold Board Act. So that is but Gold Board had to be capitalized. And the government, in the 2025 budget statement presented in March that year, allocated CD equivalent of $279 million, which at the time was equivalent to 4.5 billion Ghana cedis. That money was not released or paid to us until 30th of December 2025. But because we got the inflow in 30th in 2025 before the end of the financial year, and we had not encumbered it, we had not spent it, we had not wasted it, we had not incurred debts to deplete it, that grant from government was intact. So under IFSAS, this is how the Auditor General captured our revenue. The 970 we generated on our own from our core activities, the finance income of 35 million and government grant of 4.5 billion. That is what gives you a total revenue of 5.5 billion.
Let's look at this part that you were talking about, which is the aggregation service charges, the assay fees, registration and licensing, inspection fees, and all of that. You raked in quite a lot.
Yep, because last year we were able to buy a lot of gold. If you look at the trajectory of ASM gold output exported through former channels, we saw a significant increase due to the effective aggregation systems and the competitive pricing that we introduced last year. And so, and of course, the monopoly that was established through the creation of the gold board. All these factors combined to give us the results we got. In 2018, let me just talk about 2020. 2024, total ASM gold exported through former channels was 63 tons. The year before that, it was 37.4 tons in 2023. The year before that, 2022, it was 22.1. And the year before that, 2021, it was 3.4. So from 3.4 in 2021 to 22.1 metric tons.
That's a huge jump.
Then to 37.4 metric tons in 2023. Then to 63.6 metric tons in 2024. And then to 104 metric tons in 2025. So because of this, asset fees went up, service charges went up, and the reason why this is so is also because we saw a huge increase, over 44% in the price of gold in the year 2025. So all these factors combined to give us the kind of revenue under service fees and asset fees. Under licensing, under the new gold board regime, we were given the mandate, the sole and exclusive mandate to regulate the gold trading industry. And that meant we had to introduce various categories of buying licenses, refining licenses, and all that. We have tier 2, tier 3, tier 1, tier 1, tier 2 aggregator, self-financing aggregator licenses that we issued. And the fees we got from that was 30 million. And inspection fees, like I said, are the fees we get when we visit the gold rooms of large-scale mining companies to observe their smelting, the taking of samples, and then eventually the delivery of those samples to our lab for assay to be done. That gave us 41 million.
So you raked in close about 1 billion cedis from fees and charges in 2025?
Yes, close to that. That is without government's grant.
Yes.
Close to 1 billion, specifically 970. And then the diamond fees also came to play.
Yeah. And those who say that this looked good on your books, but these were losses to the central bank.
That is that stems from a misunderstanding of
explain to us
what these fees are. Because you see, first of all, the Bank of Ghana in 2021 decided to implement a program called Domestic Gold Purchase Program at the instance of the Economic Management Team. And what that meant was that they were going to buy gold in Ghana cities and export for various purposes. Large-scale gold for reserve accumulation, that is physical gold being added to our reserves. Small-scale gold for sales so that we can get FX in return. Then you had G4O. Now, how were they going to buy this gold? They don't trade gold. They don't have structures to buy gold. So they needed entities and individuals who have the capacity to serve as buying agents for them. And one of those agents was the PMMC. It was not the only buying agent. It was only one of them. Because there was another buying agent called Asanska. There was another buying agent called Rare Sapphire. These were private entities. But together with the PMMC, they were all giving money as agents to buy gold. Now, when the PMMC sometime in 2022 visited Parliament on the invitation of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Mines then, an issue came up as to what fee the PMMC was getting for a service as buying agent. And at the time, PMMC was not getting any service fee. All that PMMC was getting was the asset fee, and I'll come and explain the asset fee. So it was recommended there strongly that Bank of Ghana negotiates with PMMC and pays PMMC for its services, because the services PMMC was delivering at that time and in 2025 are not free. These are services that cost money. So when you hear fees looking good on PMMC and Gold Board books, it is not free money. It is money that has to be spent on a number of things. It is money that you need to work for.
It's revenue.
Exactly. And so, on the recommendation of the Parliamentary Select Committee and the Economic Management Team chaired by Umia, this was in 2022. Sammy Gyamfi was not in office. There was no gold board. The then government decided that BOG should enter into buying agents contracts. They call it gold purchase agreements with their buying agents and agree on the fees they will pay. So that is what gave rise to this agreement. This agreement, I am only publicizing it for the first time because I don't know why they marked it confidential when they signed it. For us at Gold Board, any contract that we are party to is public, it's not confidential. So it's no longer confidential. I'm making it public so that we can put this matter to rest. And this agreement was signed on the 15th day. This agreement was signed in September of 2023, sorry. In September of 2023. And the most important provision, sorry, this is the agreement. Yeah, September 2023. Good. Now, and I'll give a copy to you beyond the numbers. And in this September 2023 agreement, if you go to clause 6.3, and first of all, look at those who signed the agreement. Can you tell us those who signed the agreement? Yes.
Nana Akwesiewa, right?
Nana Akwesiewa, the former PA. Yeah, exactly.
Then, is it Abraham Mohammed?
Yes.
Yeah. And then
I'm not saying there was anything wrong with it. What they did was right, and I support it. But I want you to know that it's not like Sammy Gyamfi went to Gold Board and decided to impose fees on the Bank of Ghana. These things predate the establishment of the Gold Board and Sammy Gyamfi. Yesterday,
you spoke extensively about this. And then
but it's important that we reaffirm the issues here. So if you go to 6.3, it says that transaction process flow, and permit me to read.
Okay.
1, the buyer is Bank of Ghana, shall make an order to the buying agent, PMMC, Red Sapphire, all of them. So the buyer shall make an order to the buying agent specifying the total volume of Dory gold to be purchased. 2, the buying agent, that is PMMC, shall determine the availability of Dory gold covering BOG's order and raise an indicative invoice covering the order. 3, the buying agent's indicative invoice shall be determined by Bloomberg pricing sources. Then 4, the buyer shall advance funds based on the indicative invoice from the buying agent by crediting buying agent for Dory gold delivery within 2 business days. Then it spells out the responsibilities of the buying agent. And more importantly, it says that 12, buyer, Bank of Ghana, shall bear the cost of assay, which shall be at the prevailing rates of assaying Dory gold. The assay invoice shall be submitted to the buyer on the first week of every month for payment. So PMMC has an assay fee it charges because it's a national, it was the national assayer before the establishment of the Gold Board. And these fees are approved by Parliament. So Bank of Ghana says, when you buy the gold from me as my agent, assay it for me as a national assayer, and I will pay you the prevailing assay rate approved by Parliament.
Was this subject to the scale of the gold being bought?
No.
I mean, having a condition in there that
so you can see
of gold purchase.
No. It says the buyer shall bear the cost of assay, which shall be the prevailing rate of assaying Dory gold.
Okay.
And that rate, before I took office, was 0.258%.
Now, well understood on that.
No, 13. Let me finish this one.
You finish with 13 and then.
Buyer shall bear the buying agent service charge, into bracket, operational cost. So it is not free money. Operational cost of 0.5% of the utilized portion of the advance funds for acting as buying agent of buyer, unless otherwise agreed in writing between the parties. The service charge shall cater for logistics and transport cost, insurance, security, smelting loss, and trade margins. The service charge or fee shall be reviewed annually by both parties as market condition changes.
Okay. Now, the question is, the fees and charges that came on your books as revenue, did it in any way cause some level of burden?
No, not at all.
22 billion loss.
That's why I'm explaining. No,
that you are not part of that.
No, not at all.
Because it didn't contribute.
No, because let me explain to you. When you are trading any commodity, what is profit? How do you arrive at profit? Profit is what?
Cost minus revenue, right?
Cost minus selling price.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, and you are right. So that is cost minus revenue. So if you buy gold at 10 cedis and you have fees to pay, is that part of your cost or not?
Yes.
That's part of your cost. So what must you then do not so that you don't record a loss?
Tell me.
You sell above your cost. That's it. So if you bought gold at 10 cedis and you have a fee that you know right from the outset to be 1 cedi, then it means that you should be selling that product at
so you did 11. Your business, but it's the Bank of Ghana that decided to sell.
It is not even me. This is what was PMMC was doing. Hold on. Now, this is what PMMC was doing in 2023. Let me give you an answer. This is what PMMC was doing in 2023.
It's the same thing.
2024, and Gold Board continue for 1 year. Right. That's it.
Now you said that your activities didn't contribute to the loss of the 22 billion.
Never.
Right. Now this is the IMF latest publication published on the 7th of August, right? And I read page, let me get an actual page, just give me a minute, page 8 of that document has an interesting, paragraph. It says, losses accrued on gold trades are a combination of service and assay fee paid to Gold Board, discount on gold sold to off-takers, and most importantly, exchange rate losses from the spread between the Forex Bureau rate paid to purchase gold and the cedi reference rate. You were mentioning here.
Yeah, that is what I'm saying. They got it wrong. I said that was the only reference to the Gold Board they got wrong. Because
why do you say they got it wrong?
Because you can't list an agency fee negotiated by two contracting parties in 2023 as a reason for losses in 2025. Was that the reason for the losses they recorded in 2025?
If you are getting yourself out of this loss equation, why are you taking the glory?
No, we are taking credit for the role we played, which is the role of a buying agent.
Which caused 22 billion loss.
No. Get your facts right.
That's what the IMF document is.
That is not what you read. No, that's not what you read.
It says losses accrued on gold trades are a combination of service and assay fees paid to Gold
And I'm telling you that the IMF, number one, is getting that wrong. If you read that same, are you reading paragraph 13? Of the document. Hold on. Are you reading paragraph 13?
Bro, this is the new document.
The new document. Fine. Let me explain something to you. PMMC, and for that matter, Gold Board in 2025, was only responsible for buying gold for the Bank of Ghana as a buying agent for fees. It was not responsible for selling gold. So if we were not responsible for selling gold, how could we have caused losses?
So why then taking the credits for the stability?
We're taking credit for the gold we bought.
Contribution
for the gold we bought. That's what we are saying. We are taking credit for the gold we bought, but we were not responsible for selling that gold because our job as a buying agent ended at buying gold on the terms of this agreement. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Yes. So don't miss the issues. An entity
issue.
For example,
what about direct quotation I'm giving to you?
So was Red Sapphire responsible for the losses in 2024?
They contributed.
It's their name. Why are their names not mentioned?
But I mean,
they were also a buying agent.
And the IMF is concerned because you are an SOE.
No, I'm saying no. They were also buying agents receiving the same fees. Were they the costs?
So you could have also reduced your cost, right?
I'm saying this.
Hold on. 558 million.
No. Chief. What's your name?
Service. Isaac. Yeah.
I am saying there were other buying agents who were entitled to the same fees for their services, not free money, negotiated by the MPP government and signed to. And I am asking you, are they also the reason for the loss?
No, we are talking about a 22. I mean, you were in opposition, right? You were speaking about the Gold for Oil program and other programs that resulted in losses. You were mentioning the program and other activities as the contributing factors. In this instance, we are talking about a 22 billion Ghana cedis loss. And
in opposition, you heard me say that the Bank of Ghana makes losses because of its buying agents.
But, these are not my words.
Let's say you cannot.
No, it's not about what you said. No, I'm only making references.
Isaac,
my question is, you are mentioned in the IMF latest report,
and I am telling you
that they got it wrong.
I am telling you that they got it wrong.
Okay.
That's what I'm telling you. So if you rely on it, then I'll direct my questions at you.
Sammy, you used to rely on IMF papers when you were in opposition. So why not trust this?
As the Holy Bible, infallible, and perfect, without mistakes. They themselves, if you read this document,
so they
have made a lot of mistakes, but because a lot of the things they publish don't concern the Gold Board. That is why we have decided not to speak, because it is for the Bank of Ghana who they are making these reports about to respond to. I don't speak for the Bank of Ghana. But based on what I know, there are many things that they got wrong. And that is why I'm explaining to you that for 2025, the Gold Board continued as a buying agent, just like the PMMC. And were entitled to fees that the PMMC was paid, same fees. In fact, it was the Gold Board that reduced the fees from 0.75% to 0.6% in October 2025. And this is evidence.
Because the scale of the gold purchase has gone up.
Exactly.
But and we reduced it. You have still maintained.
We reduced it, and then
you came to meet.
And then in January 2026, we reduced it further to 0.35%. And by the end of February, we ended the program. And so now we do not depend on the Bank of Ghana for any fees, because we now control the trade from the beginning to the end, and we fend for ourselves. That is what it is. So this whole notion, the Bank of Ghana, in any case, if you read the report that came a few days ago before this one, the one which broke the issue of $1.7 billion, the one on selected issues.
Reports and all that, yeah.
The Bank of Ghana claims that the IMF claims that the losses the Bank of Ghana recorded under DGPP, which I cannot validate, but let's assume they are correct. They say it is 17% of the value of gold Dory bought by Bank of Ghana.
15%.
They are saying 17%.
17%.
Yeah, you can read that, 17%. So how does fees amounting to 0.758%, assuming without admitting that that is even a cause, what is the percentage of 0.758% of 17%? So this whole attempt to tag the Gold Board with losses is far-fetched. Since this is about beyond the numbers, and you gave us the position of the Gold Board for 2025 in terms of revenue, do you also have our position in terms of expenditure and surplus? Do you have it?
I get that for you.
Good. If you don't have it, let me give you. This is the annual report. I'm giving you a free copy. Annual report and financial statements. You can run copies for Afenyo Marking, Kojo Ponkroma, and the MPP minority. You can get this too
available on your
on our website. And if you go to page 16, this report was published by the Auditor General of Ghana, not Sammy Gyamfi, the Auditor General of Ghana. And if you go to page 16, this is a statement of financial performance for the year ended 31st December 2025. And please, if your producer can put it on the screen, because I gave them a copy.
It will be live very soon.
That is that single sheet. Our total revenue, like you rightly said, was 5.5 billion from 308 million in 2024. Despite revenue being tripled by the Gold Board, our expenditure rather was reduced. In 2024, expenditure of PMMC was 129.6 million, but expenditure for Gold Board in 2025 was reduced to 109.5 million. And this was despite the fact that the PMMC had less than 120 workers, but the Gold Board had over 450 workers. So despite having over 450 workers, like more than double the workforce of PMMC, we displayed frugality, modesty, and prudence in expenditure, and reduced expenditure from 129.6 million in 2024 to 109.5 million. At the end of it, we recorded a surplus of 5.4 billion.
We've done an extensive show on your expenditure and then your revenue. Now, I want us to focus on...
So you confirm that there were no losses? Recording my Gold Board.
There were no losses.
Yes.
And of course, nobody has actually said that Gold Board made losses.
Nobody has actually said that? Repeat that.
On this show.
Not on this show. No. Are you saying nobody has said Gold Board?
No, I don't know of others, but on this show, I can... Okay, that's what you
exactly. So you see the surplus there, $5.4 billion. So if anybody tells you that the Gold Board has made a loss, the person is a liar. This is the audited financials of Gold Board published by the Auditor General of Ghana. And if somebody says that the Gold Board is part of loss declared by another institution, tell them that that is a lie.
Sammy, is the Bank of Ghana still going to remain a partner in the all-new DGPP?
There is no new DGPP.
Okay, tell me about it.
What we are doing and what we've been doing since March is the implementation of the Gold Board mandate under the Gold Board Act. And under this mandate, the Gold Board is the sole buyer of ASM Gold, the exporter, the assayer, and the seller. Because in 2025, we were not a seller. So what we are now doing is that we are now trading gold properly.
So will you agree with me that in 2025, the Gold Board you sold to Ghanaians was not, operationalized in the scale that you wanted to?
Yes, and we indeed said so, that we were going through a transition. 2025 was a transition year. We're just an agent, just like PMMC. Nothing really changed. Because when we established on the 2nd of April 2025, we needed to put in place the institutional framework, the human resources, the new department, the logistics, the systems, for us to be able to hit the ground running as Gold Board. And we used that year as a transition year. So by the end of February, once we entered March, and the Ghana Accelerated National Reserve Accumulation Program was approved by Parliament, Gold Board stopped being a buying agent for BOG, and we became the buyer and seller of gold, meaning Gold Board now signs offtake agreements, trades gold, and our model is totally different from what the Bank of Ghana was doing under domestic gold purchase program in terms of pricing, in terms of hedging, in terms of how we sell gold and what have you. And so far, so good. We are doing marvelously well. The trade sits on our books. And
there will be no BOG.
And nobody pays our fees.
And there will be no BOG.
With the exception of the baseline program cost, which government has budgeted for 5% under GANRAP.
And there will be no BOG in this new equation.
In terms of what?
In terms of being a fiscal agent.
Well, that is what the IMF has said. I don't know where they got that from, but the Gold Board has not appointed.
But who gives the IMF information? Is it not authority?
You should ask them.
But they did the assessments with the Finance Ministry, the Bank of Ghana.
They didn't. I'm telling you,
they didn't spoken to the Gold Board.
I am saying that the BOG is not. The BOG is proposing to be our fiscal agent, but we have not agreed. I can tell you that for free. The BOG is proposing that even though they have exited the domestic gold purchase program and will not be the ones financing it, they want to be a fiscal agent. Meaning
to do what? So what are they going to be?
They want to serve as an intermediary to raise funds for us and then settle. And we are saying, no, we want to do that ourselves because we don't want any conversations about Gold Board and BOG in the media again. The Gold Board has come of age. It has the systems, the human resources to raise its own funds, buy gold, sell that gold, deal with any incidental costs beyond the baseline program implementation costs budgeted for it by government, and handle this trade efficiently in a way that generates in much needed foreign exchange, help to build reserves, while at the same time generate profit. And so far, so good. Between April, May, June, and July, the Bank of Ghana was playing that intermediary role. They were not financing it, but they were playing the intermediary role of raising CDs from commercial banks and by extension.
Now you want to do that yourself.
And we started that on the 3rd of August this month, where we went to the commercial banks and raised money ourselves. And even after, we have brought funds in from off-takers that we've loaded to the market. And so far, so good. And that is what the Gold Board was established.
On the X-Space yesterday, you were preaching, the sort of like a forward sale agreement as part of your new model. To help you get the financing, you get the money from the off-takers, you use that as the trade. Don't you think that is Cocoa Board 2.0?
No.
Why?
You must understand the difference. What Cocoa Board does is forward sale of cocoa.
So what are you going to forward?
That is not the same as a funded FX forward sale. Funded FX forward sale doesn't mean you've sold gold in advance.
Okay, tell me.
When you say forward sale of cocoa, it means you are selling cocoa.
The beans in advance.
The beans in advance. But if you are doing a funded FX forward, it is the FX proceeds you are selling in advance, not the gold.
And what do they get in return?
They get dollars in return.
Okay.
So they will give you CDs. So Gold Board says that, and by the way, this is just one of the options we have. Gold Board says that in the next 7 days or 15 days, we believe that we'll be buying 5 tons of gold, and that will be equivalent to $600 million. And so we'll be having inflows of $600 million. and we want to sell that $600 million, the FX proceeds, in advance for cedis. So tell us what you want and let us sell it to you. Take your cedis now, agree on an exchange rate now, so that when the inflows come, we give you the inflows. That is a funded FX forward. And that is what we piloted on the 3rd of August successfully. And that is what we have done since. We've done $75 million successfully. We've done $164 million successfully. So that is a forward FX sale, funded. It is not the same as what Cocoa Board was doing. Then the second model is where you get advances from your off-takers. Off-takers say, we believe in you, we've worked with you, we have trust, so we are giving you money in advance to buy gold.
That is the Cocoa Board, right?
No, but we are not fixed. But that's the same thing with Cocoa Board, right? Take your time and let me explain it to you so that you can understand.
Talk to me about it.
In gold trading, the fact that a buyer gives you money in advance doesn't mean that you've sold the gold. It means, because there are 3 ways you can fix price, or even 4 ways. When money is being sent to you by an off-taker, the off-taker can say, let's fix the price of gold on the day I'm sending the money to you. Gold Board doesn't do that. If you do that, that is forward sale. Okay. It means you've sold the gold. Gold Board doesn't do that. So you're going to but you only take the money, but we fix it only after we've bought the gold. And we have sale in advance of shipments, meaning I'll buy my gold, and even before I ship, I say I have this quantity of gold. I am now fixing the price. So the sale takes place after the money is. So once you fix the price, you are ready to do the shipment. Exactly. Okay. Or I can wait till I am shipping. Or I can take the money in advance and ship the gold to you and say, I am not selling the gold. It is called deferred price fixing. So I can give you the gold and say, I'm not selling the gold. Give me 85% of the tentative value, the prevailing value, and use the 15% as a hedge. And that is what the Gold Board has been doing. All these are trading options. In this new model, how do you expect off-takers to actually make up for forex losses, make up for... There are no forex losses. I mean, the price differential, because the price changes almost all the time. That is why gold trading is perhaps one of the most difficult things anybody can do, because of how volatile the commodity is. But we have a very solid team at the Gold Board, trading 24/7 under our finance directorate. We are ably supported by our ministry, and so far so good. It has its ups and downs due to the volatilities, but the Gold Board is managing the trade very efficiently. And so this year, for example, we bought in excess of 69-70 tons of gold already, and that is equivalent to some $9.4 billion United States dollars. And if you check the inflows, that is around $5.6 billion, because we are still hedging a lot of stocks, and it is our anticipation that by the end of the financial year, we would have fixed all our unfixed goods, brought in the proceeds to help build reserves, to help achieve FX market stability, whilst recording substantial profits for our activities. In your new financing model, have you done the actuarial studies already? How much are you going to take from the domestic space, and how much are you going to get from the external off-takers? Well, that figure changes as gold prices change. But at current price levels, in terms of our total output, you're looking at something in the region of 7-8 billion Ghana cedis in 2 weeks. So every week you're looking at 3.5 to 4 billion Ghana cedis at current price levels. That can change as gold prices go down or go up. But we are so far not having any challenges. And you're going to rely heavily on the 23 dealer banks in the country, right, for funding? That is one of the options under discussion with the Bank of Ghana and the Ministry of Finance, and a decision on that will be reached, because we started it and there were some concerns, so we had to pull the brakes and engage further with stakeholders and then come back. But with or without that, what you and the Ghanaian people need to know is that the Gold Board is ready and what it takes to fund its operations. Now, the Gold Board is delivering on its mandate efficiently. It is not true that the Gold Board has recorded losses, and it is not true that the Gold Board has lost 200 million or 120 million to any licensed buyer or aggregator, as I explained on X yesterday. We will come to that, but yesterday you sought to explain the cost of the program, because that's the biggest worry of the fund, right? They'll be coming to us because we're still under the PCI. Now, are you simply going to reduce the losses from 15% to 5%, or is government
that is going to take, has just proposed to take 5% of the cost?
There is nothing like reduction of losses, because the Gold Board has not made a loss for us to
not
reduce
Gold
the loss.
Board loss.
Yeah.
Now we are talking about the DGPP, which is
because
going to
that
Gold Board.
because that DGPP was designed by the former government to make losses. So that is their program. What Gold Board is doing is our program.
Is to make profit.
Exactly. Look, this is, and your producers can put it on the screen. This is a story dated 28th November 2022.
It's from Graphic.
Yes, Graphic Online, reporting what the then Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, my good brother Samuel Abujenapo, said. Good for oil. Mining firms directed to sell 20% for petroleum. And if you read the relevant portion, this was when government was placing a ban on the export of small-scale gold. Okay? And this is what the government said. In addition, all community mining schemes shall sell their gold outputs to government through PMMC. This is the MPP government. The minister directed, which will take effect on January 1st next year, January 1st, 2023. Consequently, the minister stressed all mining licenses for community mining schemes shall include a clause mandating licensees to sell their gold output to government. The directive added that all small-scale gold mining licenses shall include a clause mandating licensees to sell their gold to government. Now, it says that Mr. Jenapo said gold to be purchased by the Bank of Ghana and the PMMC will be at spot price with no discount. So if you design a policy, the MPP, to buy gold at spot price with no discount, how can you expect that program to make profit? And so it is their policy design. Okay, but we've made progress. This is not a time for blame game. President Mahama, just a second. Okay. President Mahama promised to reset this sector, and our reset of this sector is the Gold Board. And thankfully, the Gold Board is now implementing this model, and we are telling you that unlike this model, where it was losses, and Ghanaians are concerned about that, in spite of the successes which we acknowledge, okay, and everybody, you must count the successes and acknowledge that we are saying that we can still achieve the successes while ensuring that there are no losses. Now, so if there is any cost, government has a decision to take whether Gold Board will absorb the cost or government will come in to support. And as we speak, we have brought that cost down to 6%. And the government says it can absorb 5%. Gold Board should handle 1%. So Gold Board is handling
absorbing 5% or absorbing everything?
Absorbing 5%, and Gold Board is absorbing 1%. And we've told government that by next year, we will bring that cost down to 3%. And by 2028, we will make that cost zero.
Now, just because you referenced this and the fact that you said the old administration set up a system to make losses, did you also know that? Which was not bad, because they were in crisis. Of course, yeah. And they were looking at the economic benefits over the accounting issues. So I have explained that in the past. Did your Cheers study in 2025 show that the DGPP also going to make a loss? In 2025? Yes. Because we were not the ones selling the gold. No, not you as Gold Board. Now I'm asking a question about your government. My government? Yes. Yes, I'm saying that as Gold Board. Not as Gold Board. I'm asking you as your government. Did you know that the program you were running in 2025 was going to make a 22 billion cedis loss? Speaking as CEO of Gold Board or speaking for Bank of Ghana? You can choose to. I can only speak for Gold Board. Choose to speak. I'm asking you to speak for your government. You're a part of a government, which is the NDC administration. I'm asking that in 2025, when you designed this new program, did you know that it was going to make a 22 billion? Which new program did we design? The Gold Board? No, nobody designed DGPP in 2025. 2025, you ran a DGPP, did you? No, the DGPP was a Bank of Ghana program started in 2021 and continued until 2025, ended February 2026. And this is a program. It was not redesigned by the new government. Okay, let's assume that it was not. Because this government's novelty or was the Gold Board. Now, Sammy, my question is, yes, did the Bank of Ghana know, or you as Sammy Gyamfi knew that you were going to make a loss of 22 billion cedis? No. You didn't know? Because I am the CEO of the Gold Board. But it's the same module that you said clearly right from the onset was going to make a loss. And that model has not changed. The scale was going to be increased. So you knew that there was going to be losses. Okay, so cool down and let me give you the explanation you need. I buy gold
okay, I'm talking about 2025. I don't own the gold.
Now, I'm not asking you.
Hold on. Right. You wait for me to answer, okay? I don't sell the gold because I don't own the gold. So unless you have a view into the sales of the gold and how the sales are being managed, you will not know, because I don't sit on the board of the Bank of Ghana. Neither do I sit in that management. They own the gold, they own the program, and they were selling. So I didn't know. But when the reports came out, some of us came out to explain that, look, this is not the product of mismanagement by anybody at Bank of Ghana, but a product of policy design for a good reason, because that policy design was a crisis response. And it was intended
for
economic benefits.
Was a crisis response? Good for
I believe it was so, but poorly implemented. Well intended, but poorly implemented.
The same way people are saying that, well, what you said that was properly implemented made a loss of 22 billion cedis. What was poorly implemented made a loss of... I
have said that I said it yesterday, and I repeat, the domestic good purchase program was well intended. It was a good policy, but it was not well designed, in the sense that they didn't have a good trading institution like Gold Board to implement it, and they should not have introduced the buying of gold at spot prices, because once they did that, there was no way that they could make profit. Okay, and even aside that, they were overly pampering the market, and that is why we are having all these challenges. Because before domestic gold purchase program in 2021. Normal gold buyers were buying gold at 1.5% discount and 2% discount. Once Bank of Ghana came into the market in 2021 and said they will buy a spot, everybody had to buy a spot. And so now that Gold Board is even implemented its mandate, when you want to move it down, people are like, no, you are cheating us. But that is the heavy lifting we have to do. Already, we have discounted the price of gold by between 5% to 10% in 1 year, by moving the exchange rate determinant from Forex Bureau, which the previous government was doing. We are moving from the Forex Bureau rate to the interbank rate. Okay. And that discounts the price by 5 to 10%. And next year, we are introducing a 2% on the world market price as well, together with the formalization and financing support program, which will also get us even bigger discounts. So that is the vision for the sector.
Yeah, finally, before we go on a break, your cost ahead. What percentage is government taking?
I've already told you that as we speak, there is something we call baseline program implementation cost, which is the minimum cost that the Gold Board will incur in converting cedis into dollars through ASM gold purchases. That is the meaning of baseline program implementation cost. So that cost is a rate gap bonus of 1%, an off-take discount of 1%. We call it rate gap differential, a purity differential of about 1%. Then you have 0.7, 0.5% thereabout. Then you have the commission for the buyers, which is 3%, and so on. The total of it gives you 6%. Okay. And government says for the year 2026, it can absorb 5%. Why? Gold Board should have catered for that cost, okay? But government says it is implementing a certain program called GANRAP, aimed at building reserves of up to 15 months of import cover. And so it considers reserve accumulation as a public good. And just like it spends on capex and goods and services,
is Gold Board going to
take part of the cost? Gold Board has already taken part of the cost. Since 1st of July, this year, Gold Board absorbs 1%.
I mean, this is
next year
the new IMF program that report that I was referencing, paragraph 14. It says all costs of the DGPP will be transparently assumed by the government. I'm talking about 2026. So where is Gold Board's share of this cost?
If you look at the other parts of that same report, unfortunately I didn't bring my copy, where they will tell you that all costs will now be on the books of Gold Board and all that. They mix it up. I am telling you, the Gold Board has a GANRAP implementation agreement with the Ministry of Finance. If you need a copy, I can share a copy with you.
Yeah.
And in that GANRAP implementation agreement, it is said there, black and white, that the baseline implementation cost of the GANRAP, that government program, payable by the Ministry of Finance, those are the operative words, payable by the Ministry of Finance is 5%. That doesn't mean that is the total. So I'm telling you that the entire thing, as we speak, baseline is 6. But what the ministry has accepted to pay is 5, meaning Gold Board is absorbing 1. And then there is incidental cost. Incidental cost means what? If this morning I buy good at 4,400, and within 30 minutes the price comes to 4,350, and I don't sell that good, and good comes down and I'm not able to sell that good, all that cost is on Gold Board. Government has nothing to do with that. So sometimes we focus on just the baseline, but the trading, vulnerabilities are all handled by Gold Board through its trading model.
Sammy Gyamfi is still my guest. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back, and remember that the show has been extended by 30 minutes, so stay here to 2:30.
Wow.
Punto ashase efi nkroto mu nanso asembisa ne se wan asede se wo hwe se aban mu mpanifo bo sha wo mahyetemamufo no aso mu di so ana nampo emra e de ato ho se wo mo fani wo mu dwumadie no eno aso wo mu di ana efra ya sabia suku adan apomoden ensuo ene ye keka ho nyira Anunti na Matem TV de Masam District Watch ab. Yabota ye ne se ye be chini nkroto ahodo nyina mu afa Ghana ha ba bi ahia. Na fe ye de ani kroto awisi akohwe se amansira krachefo a aban e de omo akoye nkroto ahodo nyina mu aso. Dwumadi e de ma wo mo ne bo sha ye shirt mamufo no. Eno an wo mu di so ana. Sika ahodo afi aban mu ekroto atra ya ahodo mu. Ye be hwe se aso. De mra ne ka so wo mo mfa anyen. Eno mo de ya ana so wo mo ye bibi foforo. Sika ahodo omojeje na toto ewo nko ahodo mu eno so wo kuntabuo ti sei na fe ye de ani kroatwa wisie nso akwa akwohwe sei ensem omde agu nka ata so sa na te wo fom ana ye mane nso ho a ye ne nananum bi nsa wo so hwe sei aban si anan mu ode na abre wo mo mo ye nsase wura no aso wo mani so ni dwumadie mu ye ne mamufo di nkomo na mpo ye ne woni nso etwa mu atukotena enso di nkomo ehwe sei asoafo ne mpanifo a ye de tumi ahwe wo nsa no wo mu di wo mu dwuma ewo district ni mansina hodo mu nyina na mpo awobo a wo matukotena akomansini ni mu ye no mu nyina di nkomo na ye hwe ne ekoso wo mansini ni mu enti kan ye ho ye bo apro ye tubasa na ye kogana nkro nu ahodo nyina mu ne ahwe ne agu nkonta amatemamufo se aba wo moto no esomfa so no mu nya ana se bibi foforo na we be boa ma oman no kuntabuo ne ko aye kutia ketase hye dream kankan ne proyem yentime antu ase akora ya soma no afi baabi enti fie da we any fie da bia Masem TV so any channels ahodo nyina mu Masem District Watch aye short documentary ya fie da bia wo bosome wo fimu ekọ ye beyi ama wo fitino numpai mu ekọ bia yentan obi ne en no obi nanso so my Ghana betum ponti ena Masem District Watch ab enti kame ho na ye ne team ni nyina aba afrobo yi ye mu nkontan kyerɛw na ma wo hu fasode a woto a wotua no wonya firi mu me din de na na masiedu Masem TV District Watch ye say ye abo mpuntuo e wo no kredie adwumaden mu ene nkontabuo mu Punto ashase efi nkroto mu nanso asembisa ne se wan asede se wo hwe se aban mu mpanifo bo sha wo mahyetemamufo no aso wo mu di so ana nampo emra e de ato ho se wo mo fani wo mu dwumadie no eno aso wo mu di ana efra ya sabia suku adan apomoden ensuo ene ye keka ho nyira Anunti na Matem TV de Masam District Watch ab. Yabota ye ne se ye be chini nkroto ahodo nyina mu afa Ghana ha ba bi ahia. Na fe ye de ani kroto awisi akohwe se amansira krachefo a aban e de omo akoye nkroto ahodo nyina mu aso dwumadi e de ma wo mo ne bo sha ye shirt mamufo no eno an wo mu di so ana sika ahodo afi aban mu ekroto atra ya ahodo mu ye be hwe se
Isaac Ofieje and Sammy Gyamfi Esquire is still my guest. He's in the studio. We get to do 30 minutes more before the pause begins. And we have a lot to talk about, but we'll try and keep it simple within 30 minutes. We still have the traceability program to talk about, gun rab, environment issues, and so many other things. Now, Sammy, talking about your new model, right? I want you to explain that to me. How different is that from the model you ran in 2025?
Not we run.
Yeah.
What the model that was, you see, always make the difference. I have told you
Talk to me about
that in 2025, what was implemented was the Bank of Ghana's domestic good purchase program. Everybody knows that is a fact.
But of course, your old model in 2025 was that you were just an agent. Right?
It was not a model. It was the DGPP model, where the PMMC was the buying agent. And because the Gold Board took over from PMMC, continued under that agreement for fees. And we played our role in terms of buying the needed quantities that brought in $10.8 billion. But in terms of the sales, we were not involved there and had no role there.
Okay.
And so if there are any issues, I'm saying it is as a result of not somebody's mismanagement, but the way that system, that program, that model was designed. And that is why we promise a reset, and our reset is a Gold Board. And from March, we have been implementing this reset. And under this reset, the main difference is that our overarching goal is national economic stability. But the secondary goal is also profits. So we don't leave out profits. That is very important. So we trade for margins. That is very important. Then number two, our pricing model has been transformed from the DGPP, BOG, PMMC pricing model, where gold was bought based on live gold prices.
Bloomberg rates.
And so at every given time, you know, when price changes by more than $10, you have to. In fact, under the previous government, they were not even setting prices. The market was setting its own prices, and they were buying gold. PMMC was not publishing prices. We introduced that in 2025 as buying agents. Okay. But now what we have done is even something better. We've introduced the LBMA AM, which is morning,
PM.
and PM pricing windows. And so every day we have only two prices under which gold, at which gold is bought. That helps us to plan. That helps us to know the amount of gold we buy under each pricing window. And even before gold is delivered to us in Accra, we know the gold we have on the field, and we are able to sell that gold in advance to manage the exposures. Because sometimes if you want to wait before the gold gets to you in Accra, you will lose opportunities and you may run into losses. That is how volatile the trade is. It also helps us to time the market when price conditions are not favorable. So at any given time, we know our quantities and we know the actual price. Under the live gold pricing system, buyers could buy gold at low prices and wait, hoard, and sell it to us at higher prices. This time around, you can't do that, because if you bought the gold under one pricing window, say this morning AM, and you do not fix it, if our inspectors come, your shop will be closed and your license can be suspended.
That not promote smuggling?
No, that will not promote smuggling. That is just ensuring that there is transparency and accountability. You bought the gold, so don't hoard to manipulate prices.
The traders are very rational, and they're also economic agents. They'll be looking at what they might be losing if they are not selling as Bloomberg reference rates, and maybe your LBMA morning after.
The golden standard of gold pricing in the world is LBMA pricing. So that is the best price. Why
do you want to sell at or buy at LBMA when majority of the gold you are buying you cannot trace?
No, but we are using the pricing. We are not talking about the market. We are using the price. We are using that. We are saying that this LBMA pricing is fair pricing. It is competitive pricing. You understand? That is the price we are using.
So why was that not done in 2025?
You keep going back to that.
I'm asking questions.
Why was that not done? I'm saying that, okay, in 2025, we were buying agents, as I've explained to you, and this agency agreement that I have shown to you, September 2023, it gives you the basis for pricing. I came to meet this agreement signed in 2023, and it says Bloomberg is what Bank of Ghana decided that Bloomberg is what should be used. So that is how pricing was determined. So that is a simple explanation.
But you could have changed.
But once
you could have changed it.
You can look back and talk about what you could have done and what you could not have done. The most important thing is that there was a written agreement, and the basis of pricing was spelled out in that agreement. But once we were now taking over this, this trade based on our Gold Board model, we decided at some point, it was not even so from the beginning, I must be honest. At some point, you see, when you are implementing a policy, I am an economic policy, person. You pause at some point, you do evaluation, you review, and then you see where you are having issues and you correct it. So there is nothing wrong if you start pricing based on a particular system, And then upon policy review, you realize that there are problems with certain aspects of it and you change it. It is so with every policy implementation. Challenges will evolve, and therefore leaders must also evolve in how they mitigate such risk. Now, apart from the pricing determinants, because we are absorbing 1% cost, when we get our gold, we adjust our purchase prices at 1% before we sell. So we make sure that minimum we are selling at 1% or above to either break even, absorbing that additional 1% cost obligation we have, or to make profit. And where there will be times in gold trading that you can't sell the gold because you will make losses because of the volatility. Because even in 1 minute, gold prices can drop significantly. So we do hedging. And to support this hedging strategy, we do what is called derivative trading. So with our seed capital, we don't only buy gold as a physical asset, we also buy gold as a derivative on gold futures, which we trade and which we use to support the physical trade. And so far, so good. You should visit our trading room sometime for me to take you through. So the hedging, the pricing changes, and then the forms of selling gold. You know, under the DGPP, I believe Bank of Ghana always sold gold upon shipment. Once you ship, you have then you sell it with the LBM, AM, or PM price of the date of shipment. But under the gold board system, like I explained to you, we don't do that. We can sell the gold in advance before we ship. Once we bought and we know that we have to sell early, even before shipment, our agreements
and you have off-takers who are willing to do this.
Yes, of course. We have 2 off-take agreements signed to that effect. And we can also sell the gold, that is fixed a price, 1 year after shipment. 1 year, within 1 year after shipment, and that 1 year can be extended. And that is where we take 85% of the prevailing value and we use 15%.
Let's look at the gold.
So we have a very elaborate.
Let's look at the gold that you buy. Yes, last year you bought quite a lot, and I'm looking at the numbers. You can see that you did so well in terms of helping us to get the
as gold a buying agent.
Exactly, from the
as a buying agent.
Small scale gold, 3.1 million. Ounces as against large scale of 2.8. And the question is, what you see in red, I mean, the number is enormous. Definitely, Gold Board is now the monopoly to buy ASM gold and small scale gold. I want to know, what percentage of this 3.1 million ounce of gold that you bought in 2025 that you could trace? As responsibly, you don't mine gold.
There is no component that we can trace because since Ghana started mining gold and trading gold, no government has pursued a traceability system.
So there was no sourcing, there was no traceability?
No, even though we have a responsible sourcing policy that prioritizes traceability, we needed to now develop the policy concept and begin the implementation. So as you've heard us announce, we are currently involved in a national competitive tendering process to acquire that traceability technology, following which the onboarding process of eligible licensed small-scale miners or registered cooperatives will begin. So what has not been done all these years in terms of traceability is being done now under the reset agenda of President Mahama.
So are we likely to see the traceability program working in 2026?
In 2026, I can tell you that 27 companies bidded for the contract. We're done with the technical evaluation. We are down to about 17 companies. We are going on to the financial proposal to evaluate that, and then we'll be awarding. I don't think that the process will go beyond this year for the system. And we will get a system done in the next few months, and then that is just the first part, because now you have a system that can trace every gram of gold that Gold Board purchases and sells to its mine of origin, for us to know where the gold is coming from. Are they licensed? Are they not licensed? How is the gold produced? Is mercury involved? Is child labor involved? How can we formalize those sources to be OECD compliant so that we can get LBMA market access for our gold and get better prices, better value, which means more revenue from our gold resources. So that is what we are developing, and I can tell you that the system will be acquired this year, and implementation in terms of onboarding will start this year.
You don't have the traceability program in full force, which means that this year the quantum of gold that you have bought so far, which is about, I think, 1.7?
No, we bought approximately 70 tons of gold this year.
Right.
70 tons
which,
of gold.
I mean, since there's no traceability at the moment, you say that with the gold you have bought this year also can be traced?
They cannot be traced to their mines of origin. Okay. We can trace them.
You cannot, we can sell at premium, right?
We can trace it to the sellers. Because all our license buyers issue receipts.
Yes.
So if we went to, and that is why yesterday I announced that we are profiling buying sources to know where the distribution of the gold we get geographically and where the gold comes from as part of this traceability and formalization exercise. That is what Peru did with formalization. And that is what the Gold Board wants to support the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources and its allied agencies like MENCOM and ARCONSDEP to do.
So you mean that this 3.1 million ounce of gold you bought in 2025 also included gold from Galamsey's?
Nobody, until you have a traceability system, you cannot. If I gave you...
But at the moment, I mean...
Let me answer.
Your institution is the only SOE mandated to buy gold, right, from small scale and ASM. So if you are buying gold from almost everywhere and you indicate that smuggling has reduced because of the program, and it simply means that this 3.1 million also include Galamsey gold, right?
That can be an assumption you can make. You cannot say that factually. And the reason is that...
Galamsey all over the country, where are they selling
there are still armed robbers and thieves in town. Are banks keeping monies belonging to armed robbers? No, if you went to Barclays Bank today or ABSA and you ask them which portion of your deposit comes from armed robbers, can they tell you?
But I mean, this comparative
analysis can they tell you?
The question is
because I'm explaining something to you. I'm saying that you can be right to assume that. Okay, but you can only speak to that as a matter of fact if you have the system to detect that. Gold, you must understand how gold is bought. Gold Board doesn't go to the market to buy gold.
You understand? Aggregators do so.
They are not even the aggregators. The aggregators will also finance the tier 2 buyers who will finance tier 1 buyers who will go and buy. So there are about 4 chains of custody that gold will go through before it comes to the Gold Board. And when it comes to the Gold Board, it comes as 5 kilogram bars. When I get a 5 kilogram bar, how will I be able to know that in this 5 kilogram bar is 10 pounds from Asankregwa, 500 pounds or 1 kilo from Takwa? How will you be able to detect it? So there is no way that I can use my physical eyes to look at a bar and say, this bar includes Galamsey gold or gold from
let's look at your new system.
Let's look at. No. Allow me to end my answer.
No, your new system.
Allow me to end.
I mean, your new system.
No, don't cut me like
your
that.
New system,
that is not right.
No.
Let me end what I'm saying.
Only making a point about your new system.
No, let me end this one and we come to the new system. So what I'm saying is that concern is there and we know that concern is real. And that is why we are finding a solution. And if governments before this Mahama government had pursued a solution, we will not be here at this time. People did good for oil. People did good for reserves and all that. They never spoke about traceability. But today I am happy that we've established an agency called Gold Board. It's been given a function to promote traceability and formalization. And in less than 2 years of its existence, it is now pursuing a traceability system that can help us trace every ounce of gold we buy or export out of Ghana to their mines of origin. That is a good start. We must commend that.
That's a good start. But I'm saying that with your new system, in 2026, if it comes into operation and you do the testing with your new system and you find out that a gold is not responsibly mined, are you going to reject that gold?
No, we have to go to Parliament for Parliament to decide what should happen to that gold. Because there is a lacuna in the law, in the Gold Board Act, with regards to what happens to that gold. When Parliament was passing the Gold Board Act, check section 3. 1, I believe, F or something, I will get you the exact provision. It says that the Gold Board has the sole right to buy gold produced by miners. Look at the words, miners other than large-scale mines. And those miners include artisanal miners. It includes those who are doing community mining, now we call it cooperative mining.
Yeah.
You get my point? So Parliament did not disaggregate. Okay, but once we have a system that can show us gold that is traceable from onboarded mines, meaning licensed small-scale miners and registered cooperatives who are doing responsible mining. And we know that gold is coming from other sources who are not part of the traceability system, then Parliament, representing the people, must tell us what to do.
Okay.
Should that gold be confiscated for the state? Because you cannot let a person profit from their crime. I don't think that is right. That the gold doesn't belong to you. You mine it in breach of our laws and destroy our environment. And yet we say, for good, no, and go and smuggle it, commit another crime. No? So it is either we are going to confiscate it.
Paid for that gold.
It is either we are going to It is either we are going to confiscate it at the point of if the person will bring it and attempt to sell it. But of course, that also has the potential of creating an underground economy where they will not even bring it at all. They will do it and say.
To also lose most of your aggregators.
Exactly. So are you going to say look for them and confiscate their gold, or are you going to say buy it? Or buy it at a punitive discount. These are things that only lawmakers can provide for. Ours is to make it possible for the source of the gold to be determined. And what must happen is a function of law. So we'll go to Parliament for Parliament to decide on that.
I know we've established new refineries locally. Are we able to feed those refineries with gold from Gold Board?
Yes. We've signed 2 refining agreements, one with Royal Ghana Gold Limited and another with Gold Coast Refinery. These are refineries that have been in Ghana for years and were not working because there was no deliberate government policy to support them to thrive. But under the reset agenda of President Mahama, we are now able to give them up to 1 metric ton of gold every week to refine. We started that through a gradualist, approach. So far, Gold Coast is doing about 200 kg Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so 600 kg a week. Royal Gold is doing more than that. And out of the 70 tons of gold we bought this year, already more than 7.1 metric tons. Out of the 70 tons, about 10% of that, 7.1 metric tons has been refined in Ghana. And the related refining fees, which would have ended up in Dubai and India, now staying in Ghana, supporting the economy, supporting the banks, creating jobs, because all these refineries are operating 24/7 and they are employing Ghanaians. And that gives me joy that we will have a president like President Mahama who can bring such a game-changing initiative for the sector. We are seeing something we have never seen. When I got to PMMC, not a gram of gold that was being bought under domestic gold purchase program, whether it was the large scale element or the good for oil element or the good for forex element, not a gram was being refined locally. President Mahama said, no, Sammy, we are buying the gold, we own the gold, refine it here, let the money stay here. And he's supporting us to build another refinery, which is going to be a 600-ton capacity refinery, to achieve his vision of zero export of raw minerals by the year 2030.
So if you are feeding these refineries with gold that you cannot trace, where do you expect the refineries to sell the gold? Is it in the...
No, the refinery doesn't buy gold. So they are just, delivering a service. So they refine the gold for us and we sell.
You sell.
But we are almost finalizing an agreement with large-scale mining companies, which is going to ensure that they sell 30% of their output to government in Ghana, not outside Ghana like it happened under the MPP. And the gold will be sold in raw form to be refined in Ghana in cedis at Bank of Ghana rate instead of refining it outside as it's pertained under the MPP. So now we are going to dedicate a refinery here in Ghana that will be refining this large-scale mining gold. And that means that refinery can potentially get LBMA accreditation in the next 5 years if they can refine a minimum of 30 tons of responsibly sourced gold, OECD compliance gold, for 3 consecutive years.
So that
is the vision of the president.
Right?
Yes, and we are changing the assay regime as well. Ghana loses a lot of revenue because we do not have an international standard ISO certified assay laboratory that can conduct the golden standard of assay called fire assay. So we are not able to accurately determine the value of our gold, whether small scale or large scale, before they are exported. And that leads to under declaration of purity and by extension under declaration of revenue in the millions of dollars. Now Gold Board has acquired a land 0.6 acres at Aviance Cargo Airport And this year we are building an international standard ISO certified laboratory. The president will be doing the shortcutting very soon. So a lot of transformation, a great deal of transformation is happening in this sector. And that is why it is unfortunate that people who should be supporting this, whether through constructive criticisms or through their contributions or whatever, have chosen, including members of parliament, to lie and bastardize the Gold Board, despite the significant strides that the Gold Board is making.
Sammy, let's look at GANRAP, 15 months of import cover by 2028. Is it overly ambitious?
Why is it overly ambitious? It's not.
Because you need close about $9 billion every year to be able to achieve that.
But we can get...
And the Bank of Ghana is heavily doing intermediation. How are we likely?
In 1 year, we increase reserves from $8.9 billion in 2024 to $13.8 billion by December 2025. That increase import cover from just about the traditional 3 months to 5.7 months of import cover in 1 year. And so the Minister of Finance, under the direction of the President, thinks that we can sustain this and build enough shock absorbers, because that is what the Ghanaian economy has been lacking. Over the years, successive governments have strived to build reserves that can provide import cover for just 3 months. And that is why anytime there are strong exogenous shocks or headwinds, we see the economy tumbling down, so like it happened during COVID-19.
Why don't you solve the import bill problem rather than building reserve to fund other economies?
But solving that import problem is a structural problem that you cannot fix in 3 years. So they are not mutually exclusive. Build reserves. Why does America has trillions of dollars in its reserves? Okay, maybe at currently 200 and something billion dollars in these reserves. For your economy to thrive, you need strong buffers. You need strong reserves that can help that economy withstand strong headwinds. That is what we didn't have in 2021, 2022 when COVID struck and inflation went to hyper levels of 54. The currency depreciated by over 50% that year. We don't want that to happen. So we are not being carried away by the successes we have achieved in 2025. How do we sustain it for this generation and generations unborn? So let's use our gold to build more reserves so that in the day of trouble, this economy can stand the test of time. That is a wisdom in the GANRAP approved by Parliament under the auspices of the Ministry of Finance.
Before we go, has anybody run away with Gold Board money?
That is laughable, but that is not true. I've shared with your producers the statement of accounts between the Gold Board and its aggregator, Bower Rock, one of our aggregators. And if you look through, this account is as at 31st July 2026. Gold Board rather owes Bower Rock 3.6 million. And in terms of program cost, commissions that we have to pay him, so that he can also pay tier 2 and tier 1 buyers under him, we are talking about 218 million cedis that Gold Board owes him. So nobody has run with our money, because when we only deal with aggregators, and the monies we give the aggregators are secured with advanced payment guarantees, underwritten by multiple insurance companies who have reinsured it, and their reinsurers have also reinsured it with retrocessionaires. So we are not being reckless with public funds at all. The case in court has to do with the aggregator giving some funds to some licensed tier 2 buyers. And he has lodged a complaint with us that after 3 weeks, they have not closed their accounts in breach of Gold Board guidelines. From a civil case perspective, Gold Board cannot even intervene because of the principle of privity of contract. We are not party to the arrangement between the aggregator and the tier 2 buyer. Only the parties to that agreement can enforce rights and obligations. But because the complaint has an element of what we believe to be criminality, we are prosecuting those persons because we have been given a fiat by the Attorney General and Minister of Justice to be able to prosecute gold-related offenses under the Gold Board Act ourselves. So when you see that Gold Board is in court prosecuting somebody and huge sums of monies are involved, it doesn't mean that Gold Board has lost money. That money is not Gold Board money because Gold Board has been paid. It is the money of one buyer given to another licensed buyer, which has not been reconciled. And the nature of the facts, disclose the possibility of a crime, and that is why we are being prosecuted. So these are the reconciliation accounts.
Okay.
Good board has not lost any money. What you are hearing on social media is nothing but disinformation.
So you love RTI. We have a number of RTI requests with you. When are we getting? It's been more than 2 months.
The last ones you brought, we replied.
Oh, we've not had any information.
Please share with me scanned copies. That is something I prioritize because of my background as a communications person and as somebody who has been at the forefront of advocating for accountability and all that. So share the scanned copies with me. I promise that by next week we'll get you the appropriate responses. But even as you wrap up, I want to thank you and by extension the good people of this country for the support they have given this Gold Board initiative. But for them, we will not be here. I am here to report to them as the CEO of the Ghana Gold Board that we are making progress. We are delivering on our mandate, generating foreign exchange like never before, helping the central bank to build gold reserves like never before. The Gold Board has never recorded losses, and we are not recording losses as we speak, and we are doing our possible best to fulfill our mandate while at the same time being, efficient in terms of generating profits and all that. And it is our expectation that by 2028, the associated baseline program implementation cost would have been reduced to its minimum. It would have been eliminated completely.
Do we expect profits
this year?
Yeah.
Wait for the audited financial statements.
Should we expect profits?
Wait for it. I think you should be expecting. Why will you be expecting losses? You should be expecting profit.
But you are in the help of us. Should we expect profits?
You should. But how much, I won't tell you because the year has not ended. And we cannot declare profit unless the Auditor General of Ghana audits. And we are being very efficient and prudent in how we manage public finances. And that is why in 2025, we are one of the few SOEs audited by the Auditor General without one adverse finding. All issues raised in the Auditor General's management letter was satisfactorily addressed, and our report was published without one adverse finding. So if somebody tells you that something bad is happening at Gold Board, tell them to show you the Auditor General report and show you where that finding can be found.
Sammy Gyamfi Esquire is the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Gold Board. And folks, this is where time will allow us to peg our conversation here on Beyond the Numbers. And as always, important conversation. This is Ghana's leading business analysis show, Beyond the Numbers. And Sammy Gyamfi joined us here on the show. My name is Isaac Kofi Ajay, and the pulse is next with Kenneth Jesse. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Isaac. Good afternoon and welcome to the pulse.
Punto ashase efi nkroto mu nanso asembisa ne se wan ya sede se wo hwe se aban mu mpanifo bo sha wo mahyetima mufo no aso mu di so ana nampo emra e de ato ho se wo mo fani wo mo dwumadie no eno aso wo mo di ana efra ya sabia suku adan apomoden ensuo ene ye keka ho nyira enunti na Masem TV de Masem District Watch ab yebota ye ne se yebe chini nkroto ahodo nyina mu afa Ghana ha ba bi ehia na fe ye de ani kroto awisi akohwe se amansira krachefo aban edo o makoye nkroto ahodo nyina mu aso dwumadi ede ma wo mo ne bo sha ye shirt mamufo no eno an wo mu di so ana sika ahodo afi aban mu ekroto atra ya ahodo mu ye be hwe se aso de mra ne ka so mo mfa anye no eno mo de ya ana so mo ye bibi foforo sika ahodo a wo mo jeje na toto ewo nkroto ahodo mu eno so wo kuntabuo ti se na fe ye de ani kroto awisi nso akwa akohwe se ensem o mo de agu nka ata so sa na te wo fom ana ye mane so hwa ye ne nananum di nsa wo so hwe se aban si anan mu ode na abere wo no wo mo ye sase wura no aso wo mani so ni dwumadie mu ye ne mamufo di nkomo na mpo ye ne woni nso etwam atukotena enso di nkomo ehwe se asoafo ne mpanifo a ye di tumi ahwe wo mo nsa no wo mu di wo mu dwuma e wo district ne mansina hodo mu nyina na mpo awobo a wo matukotena akomansini ne mu ye ne wo mu nyina di nkomo na ye hwe ne ekoso wo mansini ne mu enti kan ye ho ye bo apro ye tubasa na ye kogana nkro nu ahodo nyina mu ne ahwe ne gu nkonta amatemamufo se aba wo moto no esomfa so no wo mu nya ana se bibi foforo na we be boa ma o man nkuntabuo ne ko aye kutia ketasehye dream kankan ne proyem yentime ntu ase kora ya soma no afi baabi enti fie da we any fie da bia Masem TV so any channels ahodo nyina mu Masem District Watch a short documentary ya fie da bia wo boso me watwi mu ekọ ye beyi ama wo fiti no numpai mu ekọ bia yentan obi ne en no obi nanso so o my Ghana betum ponti na Masem District Watch aba enti kame ho na ye ne team ni nyina aba afrobo yi ye mu nkonta nkyerɛw na ma wo hu faso de a woto a wotua no wonya firi mu me din de na na Masiedu Masem TV District Watch ye say ye